actual sound. What the f is going on, brother? Today we're going to be checking out and taking a look at the evolution of said tornadoes. The first video ever, first image ever, the first photograph ever, etc, etc, etc. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you continue to have a great day after watching this video. Can't promise anything though. Grab a snack. Let's do this, baby. Play.
Tornadoes are fascinating. They can be
What the what in the spaghetti am I looking at?
both beautiful and terrifying and tragic all at the same time.
They are not beautiful.
Definitely, as Rusty from Twister says, the wonder of nature.
It's the wonder of nature, baby.
And what does he mean by that? The wonder of nature. Well, seeing a tornado is kind of like seeing a ghost. There's actually that stereotype that if the tornado sirens go off, people actually run to the porch with their camcorder or smartphone rather than go to the basement. Full disclaimer.
If I hear that siren going off, that tornado siren, you best believe I'm gonna go somewhere very fast and very far away. I am not grabbing beer. I am getting the out of Dodge. Okay?
You should go to the basement if the tornado sirens are going off. Don't film, go to the basement. But who was the first to go on their porch and film a tornado? In fact, who was the first to take a photo? First painting? First mention? These are all things that we are going to discuss in today's video on the evolution of tornado footage.
Nice.
I even got this chart. You know me, I love my charts. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Before we get into the video, be sure to subscribe for more tornado content. That's all we do here. Mostly, we do other stuff too. But if you like tornadoes, if you're a tornado nerd like me, you should be early history.
Oh shit.
Okay, before we get to photos and videos, what is the oldest mention? Well, before tornadoes were called tornadoes, they were called cyclones. And before they were called
what? I thought cyclones were tornadoes that were over the sea. Oh, okay.
Cyclones, they were called whirlwinds. Now, there's actually several mentions of whirlwinds in the Hebrew Bible. None of them are specific enough to be definitively what we call a tornado today. Perhaps the earliest depiction of a tornado comes from the famous Greek philosopher Aristotle, who in 350 BC, from a series of books called Meteorologica, or simply Meteorology, Aristotle describes tornadoes as the spiral which descends to the earth and drags with it the cloud which it cannot shake off. It moves things by its wind in the direction in which it is blowing in a straight line, and whirls round by its circular motion and forcibly snatches up whatever it meets. We're talking about tornadoes here. Straight line, destroys everything in its path. Definitely a tornado. Moving ahead about 400 years, we come across a man by the name of Pliny the Elder.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I like this.
Is like the grandfather
of
encyclopedias. He said in his book, Historia Naturalis, which translates to natural history, that cloud which draweth water to it, as if it were a long pipe. So clearly, he's talking about that basic tornado shape, keyword long pipe. Now, this wasn't just a tornado.
I don't know what it is, but these fucking terrify me, man. Like, look at that thing. That looks like it was sent from the devil himself, or herself, or itself, whatever it wants to be, you know. I don't know. Something about these scared the shit out of me.
It was specifically a water spout, which technically isn't a supercell level tornado, but beggars can't be choosers in these early days. Now let's move ahead about 1400 years to Christopher Columbus, who also saw a water spout during his second voyage in 1495. A lot of the early descriptions of whirlwinds were indeed water spouts, because water spouts are actually pretty common, and obviously water travel was a major part of traveling and all that stuff back in the day. So, you know, you saw a lot of water spouts. But what about on the ground, legit Oklahoma level tornado?
I see, ever since I done the first video on this tornado, I have heard the word Oklahoma so much. I'm going to assume that Oklahoma is basically the basic home of tornadoes. Is that where, like, if there's a tornado, it's most likely going to be in the Oklahoma area?
We're talking supercell tornado. What was the first mention of that? Well, Machiavelli, who lived between 1469 and 1527, described a tornado crossing Tuscany back in 1532. So that's probably a legit tornado. So we can talk about words and accounts all day long, but let's move on to the first actual depiction of a tornado. An argument can be made for a tapestry, which was part of a larger series of tapestries known as the Conquest of Tunis. This originates way back to 1550. This tapestry features many different weather events, from rain and storms over the Iberian Peninsula. And what do we have here? A great candidate for the first depiction of a tornado. Here. This little cone rope tornado on the left side of this mountain. Pretty sweet. That's a legit tornado right there. So we have definitive proof that by at least 1550, some people were featuring tornadoes in their artwork. Now, that tapestry was dedicated to weather in general and to the landscapes in general, and it's huge. What was the first depiction of a tornado dedicated directly to that?
Yeah, something off topic. Isn't it kind of crazy how we've evolved in the space of like 400 years? Like, holy shite. Can you imagine explaining today to people back then? Imagine trying to explain the internet to people back then. They'd be like, the fuck are you talking about?
About 40 years later, we come across a drawing of a tornado that hit the town of Augsburg, Germany. It's even dated as July 2nd, 1586. It was described as a threatening cloud that was on the ground for an hour and a half, and towards the end of its lifespan, the tail began to sharpen, and then the cloud went back up into the atmosphere. So we have an entire description of the tornado event itself from 500 years ago. That's pretty freaking sweet. Now we're moving on to phase 2, real images.
Oh, here we go. Early photos.
But before we get to the first
whoa.
Photo tornado. Before we get to...
Fuck! Where was it? They called it a cyclone there too.
The first photo of a tornado, we gotta talk about some tornado damage photos. Because we actually have photos of tornado damage before the actual first photograph of a tornado itself. So I don't know what the specific first tornado damage photo is, but here's a picture of the aftermath of a tornado in 1870 in Iowa. It's not the highest quality of photos, but you can definitely make out some damage. Another early damage photo comes from 1878 in...
That's an actual photograph from 1878. Let that sink in. Like, holy shit, in Connecticut?
And we have many photos from the 1883 Rochester, Minnesota F5 tornado. Okay, so what's the first photo of a tornado? There's some debate. However, the first tornado photo is indeed
the it's Kansas.
1884 Garnett, Kansas tornado photo.
Yeah, of course it's in Kansas, bro.
A moderately strength tornado, likely roping out, and it was taken by A.A.
Is that why they made, what's it called? We're not in Kansas anymore. What's that movie called? The Wizard of Oz. Yes, The Wizard of Oz.
Adams. On the back, the description reads, April 25th around 5 p.m. Keep that in mind, April 25th around 5 p.m. However, if you look up oldest tornado photo on the internet, you're going to get a photo of this tornado. This is an F4.
That's hellish. That is hellish.
Tornado near Howard, South Dakota. And many people talk about this being the first
that looks
tornado
like a fucking UFO.
However, this tornado occurred on August 28th, 1884. So that's 4 months after the Garnett, Kansas tornado photo. This is a great photo. Obviously, this is a stronger tornado. However, there's no doubt in my mind that the Garnett, Kansas photo is definitely the first tornado photo, assuming the dates are correct. Photos of tornadoes would slowly become more common in the late 19th century. A few examples of early tornado photos would be from July 13th,
Look at that.
Lake Gervais, Minnesota. Here's another photo of the first tornado photographed in North Dakota in 1895. Here's one in Oklahoma from the same year. And the first Iowa tornado I could find was from 1899 in Kingley. This depiction of the 1893 Pomeroy, Iowa tornado might be the first example of a multi-vortex tornado, or perhaps a twin tornado. Now, many of us love to Photoshop tornadoes. I mean, I do it for my thumbnails, but a man going by Mr. Connor may have been the first. He would take this photo of a tornado and he would superimpose it onto different backgrounds.
Oh my God, no, we didn't.
Photographs.
They all feature
the exact same tornado. However, this tornado is occurring in 4 different scenarios. So he was probably our first tornado.
My guy was making clickbait back in the fucking early 1900s, brother.
Photoshopper. What's the first pretty high quality photo of a tornado? Well, the first high quality photo
That doesn't
I
even
could
look
find
real.
was from June 2nd, 1929 in Hartner.
That's not real, is it?
Look, you can even see the bottom of the tornado tearing up the ground.
Maybe it
Great
is.
photo for sure. Well, now it's time to move on to
Damn.
phase 3, video.
Video.
Kind of like the Howard, South Dakota tornado, there's actually a few misconceptions out there. If you look up oldest tornado video or first tornado video, many people will point to the Corn, Oklahoma tornado in 1951. And here's the footage of that specific tornado. I actually mentioned this as the first tornado video in a previous video of mine. However, the first actual tornado to be filmed comes from the British Path, and it appears to be a thin rope tornado in Cuba in 1933. So about 20 years before the Corn, Oklahoma tornado. I will say that the Corn, Oklahoma tornado is way better quality, and it's the first video of an anti-cyclonic tornado, which means it moves the opposite direction of like 99% of other tornadoes. The earliest tornado featured in a film has to go to The Wizard of Oz. It is possible that there was an earlier movie that featured a tornado, however, I could not find one.
How could they fake that?
This tornado footage was so good that it was used in several other films. This includes the film High Barbary from 1947, which out the window uses the exact same footage from The Wizard of Oz.
Hi. I just don't know how they could do that without actual editing software. Can someone explain to me in the comments that knows this sort of shit as to how the hell this happens?
The first depiction of buildings being torn apart has to go to the 1953 Warner Robins Georgia tornado.
Damn.
A tornado video featured heavily on this channel. In the Warner Robins video, you can actually see homes being torn off their foundation. This video was way ahead of its time for how close it is to the actual tornado and for the amount of damage it captures. About 5 years later, we come across the first full-length tornado documentary, which features the entire lifespan of a tornado that hit Dallas, Texas on April 2nd, 1957. At least 10 people lost their lives in this specific tornado. Some of the video of the downtown being hit is very high quality. Moving ahead to the first tornado captured during a live broadcast. On April 3rd, 1964, a large F5 tornado struck the city of Wichita Falls, Texas, a city which is kind of a tornado magnet. This tornado took the lives of 7 people and stayed on the ground for 35 minutes. KAUZ TV6 reported on the tornado from the ground.
Where the fuck did he come from?
The first live capture of a tornado. This footage also has an early example of a radar hook echo.
At this time, a little reminiscent of
Where is it? I'm assuming it's just in this direction. Is that it here?
situation we had here, I believe, back in the summer of, was it 1959? Where Channel 6 made a television first by putting on the air live a tornado. Now,
Finally, we get to the first helicopter footage. I couldn't find the actual video, but
You fuck getting into a helicopter to go that close to a tornado. Nah.
the first helicopter footage of a tornado occurred on May 22nd, 1981 by the Ranger 9 helicopter on KWTV in Clinton, Oklahoma. If anyone knows where this footage is, please let me know because I really want to see it. And finally, we are now in phase 4, the modern era. As video camcorders became more readily available in the 1980s and 90s, we start to see a lot more tornado footage, especially when it comes to amateur video. So bringing
These used to be my favorite type of like video format. Like the square 16 by 16 or 8 by whatever the fuck the ratio is called. And then this has the date like engraved in the bottom. So cool.
back to the intro of this video, who really was the first person to go film a tornado rather than go to the basement? Well, sources say that Ted Rubble from Kalamazoo, Michigan, filmed the first amateur video of a tornado with his camcorder on May 13th, 1980. He stepped outside of the camcorder store and turned his camera and filmed the tornado drop from the sky. So this was the first amateur video. Home videos of tornadoes became way more common throughout the 80s and the 90s. I want to mention a few notable examples of classic home tornado videos. Perhaps the most famous is the 1991 Andover-McConnell Air Force Base footage. This video is absolutely
Look
ridiculous.
at that.
Seriously, the tornado
Oh my
was right in front of
God.
them. It's just insane. Another classic home video is the 1991 Gulf Lake, Minnesota tornado video. This video features some very famous quotes.
Oh, there goes Bob's boat. Oh, I hope not. Whoa! Get away from the windows. Get away from the windows. Tree just blew over. Look at that tree over. Look at that. Get away from the windows. Get away. Get away. Get away.
My favorite home video might
I mean, that's just so brain dead to me. I'm sorry. Like, why would you even be that close to the fucking tornado and then start panicking because you're close to the windows? You shouldn't be close to it at all, brother.
be the 1998 Columbus, Nebraska tornado.
Holy
which is just
shit.
amazing. I love the quality. It looks scary beyond belief. A great piece of footage.
Look at the size of that.
Older tornado videos just kind of have a weird eeriness
That's
to them
mental.
that I really enjoy. By the way, links for all these videos are in the description. Moving ahead in the evolution of tornado footage, we enter what I call the Discovery Storm Chasers era. This
There we
is
go.
my childhood right here. This is where we see the birth of celebrity storm chasers, including Reed Timmer, Sean Casey, and Tim Samaras. While filming and learning about tornadoes was the main goal of the Discovery Storm Chasing teams, there was a huge effort towards intercepting a tornado, aka capturing footage from inside a tornado. There were a few methods, one being a satellite dome camera left behind in the path, the other method being riding out the storm inside a tornado intercept vehicle. Sean
What
Casey
is
made
that?
great effort in intercepting the storm with his TIV-2, and he was finally successful on May 27th, 2013, when the TIV-2 filmed the inside of a tornado in Kansas. Reed Timmer was able to film the inside of a tornado in Aurora, Nebraska
That's insane.
on June 17th, 2009. There's also a few other early examples. Many have become well known from capturing tornadoes and uploading them to YouTube. Perhaps the best example is Pecos Hank, and I'm sure you've all heard of him. He's like the GOAT tornado YouTuber. There are other examples though. Reed Timmer has a great YouTube presence. Skip Talbot is one that should be mentioned, as well as Ryan Hall, y'all, who does tornado forecasting rather than tornado chasing. Tornado videos are becoming more and more common since people have smartphones and they carry a camera with them
Look at
everywhere
that.
they go.
That's
So we're
kinda
getting a
cool,
lot more
though.
tornado videos from places like Europe.
I kind of need to see inside a tornado, bro. I can't lie. All right, this is a video called Footage Inside a Violent Tornado with TIV-2, Brandon Ivy. Get us in there, brother. Jesus Christ. Nah.
Ears are popping.
His ears are popping. Is that the actual sound? What the fuck is going on, brother? What's that? Nah, bro, my anxiety could never. My anxiety could never, brother. Are we spinning? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Inside of Tornado, and I hope that's one spot on Earth I never have to find myself.